Hello, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook. How you guys doing? This is InspireNation. I'm Robert Murray. It's another weekly rundown with our buddy Thomas Queter, who's gathering petitions right now and signatures. What's up, Thomas? What's new this week?
Well, it's been a heck of a week, Robert. We've been petitioning like crazy. If I don't have a driver, I'm out front of the hotel and up and down the sidewalk. There's a mall about 2 miles away. Lots of stores, lots of foot traffic. So I'm either working that or we have a planned petitioning event, one or the other, every single day. Even in the rain. Interestingly, there's some buildings under construction and they put up scaffolding that shields the sidewalk. So in the rain, I can sit under there and I still get lots of foot traffic and lots of signatures. And that's what you have to do. You know, the weather hurts me, but I'm still out there. And believe it or not, I found a farmer's market in Queens. Apparently, there's a few of them. Yeah, but
what did you pick up?
Well, we were there for petitioning. We're not allowed to petition in the farmer's market, but we can stand at the entrances and exits on all roads. So there's like 4 or 5 spots to stand in the corner and gather signatures as people come and go. And that worked really well. We got over 100 in just a couple hours. And it seems like our paid petitioners are more energized now that they've gotten to know me. Now, I think it's important for candidates to be seen and heard, not just by your constituents, but the volunteers and staff. You give them motivation by talking with them and by giving them something to believe in. Even though they're being paid for it, they're more motivated if they know who you are. I had a real interesting conversation with a woman at the farmer's market. She was a home health aide, well, is still technically a home health aide, and she was very upset. And she's leaving the profession like so many others are in this state. She was being overworked and underpaid. She was working 4 days straight and only getting paid 13 hours a day.
Oh, wow.
And that's because the person that she was taking care of needed 24-hour care and had to be moved regularly to prevent bed sores. And she wouldn't abandon the person, but at the same time, she couldn't keep killing herself. So she said to put her foot down. And then she found out how much the agency that she has to work for, the state requires that she works for an agency in order to take care of a lot of these people who need help. Much like myself, my own disabilities aid has to work for an agency. She found out her agency was getting $75 an hour for her labor, and she was only getting paid around $13 to $14 an hour.
That doesn't sound right.
Well, it doesn't sound right. It's the forced bureaucracy of the state systems. They force an awful lot of, how do we put this? Administrative overhead is the term. So basically, it's box checking. It's filling out paperwork. Most of the money is spent on paperwork, not helping people. That's a big problem with any of our systems. That is disgusting, Samantha. It's extremely disgusting. Through lockdowns and COVID, with the unemployment benefits that were extended and raised and given, an awful lot of our home health aides that are there to take care of people, as well as aides in facilities, they walked away from their jobs because they were getting more money and saving money but not having to travel than when they were working. Everybody makes the best choice for themselves for the most part, with the exception of a handful of very self-sacrificing people. And that leaves people with disabilities, people who are in need, people who were in need before the pandemic, and besides the pandemic, in a lurch, that they're left without care. I know a woman in the Albany area used to work for the Department of Health. She knows how everything works. She knows how it's supposed to be and what's supposed to happen. And yet she herself, being in a situation of needing disability aids, can't get one, and if she does get one, it's a bad one. She's been threatened by her own aides. And that's common. I can't tell you how many times I've run across someone who was threatened by a disabilities aide because, they say that they're spending all of that money on the box checking and the paperwork to ensure good quality service, but they don't. They don't. Nobody wants to work in this profession in this state. It's too much hassle. It's too much trouble. It doesn't make enough money. And there are so many requirements that you're often not actually allowed to help the person. It's disgusting. But on a positive note, her and I saw eye to eye on an awful lot of things. And I think she walked away with some hope. Then, today. Yes.
Hey, Russell, how you doing, buddy?
1,200 if you're lucky, Russell. I don't get 1,200. I get less than 1,000 a month. Some people get as low as 750 or 800. Now, let's move on to a more enlightening experience.
Okay.
There's a gentleman that works in the lobby of the hotel I'm staying at, and he's an immigrant from Brazil. Over 20 years ago, he came here, and we just got talking because, he's got a job that's pretty boring. He stands around and greets people and makes sure nothing bad happens, kind of thing, right?
Sure.
It's like faux security, right? And he's talking about how people have a need to interact with each other. They have a need to see and talk to each other. So humans need to be human. And, the discussion, progressed. And, it's very obvious he was disgusted by what he'd witnessed here in the last 20 years. He came here for the freedom. And since he's been here, he's only watched it wane away, get eroded down by the government. And he told me he's registered independent because, not Independence Party, but independently registered, no party, because you can't buy into the Democrats or the Republicans whatsoever. And then, he made a statement. He said, I need to look out for me. I'm an individual. I have my needs. I was like, oh, this guy's going to be a libertarian. And so we started talking about the party and the principles and what it means to be a libertarian and how we believe that the government's main role is to defend the individual rights of every individual as opposed to mob rule, right? Or as opposed to authoritarian rule, which is what it really is. Because today, particularly in our country, when we talk about mob rule, what it is a large group of people being coerced or fooled or, how do I put this, led down an emotional path to their beliefs, which aren't really logical, right? The red man bad, blue man bad kind of diatribe that we get out of these two parties, it leads people to disliking each other, hating each other. We had that conversation, this gentleman and I, and I think I left him with some hope too. That's one thing we do as libertarians when we talk to people and we hear their concerns and then we come up with solutions. That gives people hope. And there's so many people suffering. There's so many people without hope. There are so many people just struggling to get by. We need to give them hope. And that's what I try to do. And it's interesting, too, down here. When you ask someone to sign your petition to be on the ballot, the first thing they say is what party they're registered for to know if they can sign. But it's an independent petition. Because we don't have ballot access, anybody can sign. So what happens when I run into Democrats down here in the Queens area, they'll say, "Oh, I'm a Democrat. Can I still sign?" And I say, "Well, I'm an independent. Anybody can sign." And they'll say something like, "You're an independent? You're running as an independent? That's even better." Right? There are so many Democrats who want somebody who's not an entrenched Democrat. And I get the same thing from Republicans when I'm upstate. There are so many Republicans who are not an entrenched Republican. They're sick of the vitriol. They're sick of the games. So how have you been, Robert?
I've been pretty good today. I slept in a little bit longer than normal. The sun is not here today. The wind's blowing, but I'm here and checking in with my clubhouse friends, checking in with you. It's always good to see you. Inspire Nation supports Thomas Queter, y'all. You see the scroller there. You can donate and volunteer for Thomas through that website. Please do that. Donate to Thomas Queter.
A quick update. We did have 2 donors totaling $1,000 for. I love you, Jonathan. We had 2 donors offering $500 in matching donations, so a total of $1,000 in matching donations. Meaning, if enough people donated to that $1,000, then they would donate, and it would double. We surpassed it. We surpassed it by far. We're doing
Great.
well with our donations, but we need more. We need more.
Right.
It's politics. You can't run for office without money. This is a bigger race. I need more money than last time. Right now, everything is going towards petitioning. Every last dollar that any of the statewide candidates and any of our more local candidates have is going into petitioning. Why? Because, well, for the statewide races, we need 45,000 signatures that are valid in about 4 weeks. Technically, we have 5, but to be viable, we really need to get them in on the end of that 4th week, as soon as we're allowed to turn them in. And if you're out there, if you're in New York, you can petition. You don't have to be a libertarian to petition for us. In fact, if you go to Larry Sharp's website, there's a tutorial on how you can do it. In fact, you don't even have to go get many petitions. You can just download the form, print out 2 copies, find a friend who's willing to sign. You each sign each other's sheet and witness each other's. You fill out the bottom of the witness form, and then boom, there's 2 signatures for us right there. You can do that at home without leaving your home. And beyond that, we just won an injunction. We won a court case. We're allowed to use petitioners from out of state. We can't get petition signatures from out of state. But if you're a libertarian in Vermont, Connecticut, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and you want to come into New York and help us with the biggest, hardest ballot access fight that is in the country right now, then come on in. Come on in and give us a hand. We need you. You know what? You don't have to be a libertarian either. If you like Larry Sharp, if you like Tom Queter, come on in. Give us a hand. We need that help. But, that doesn't mean that we're just being lazy. We're not just sitting around expecting other people to do the work. I'm out here doing the work every day. The other day, the last rainy day that I petitioned in, it was so windy, I was having trouble holding on to my umbrella. And, and my last stint outside, the wind picked up my umbrella, took it out of my hand, and I still can't tell you what street it came down in.
Wow. It didn't pick you up, though. That's good. You didn't Mary Poppins it.
Wow. Thankfully, the wheelchair is heavy.
Right.
So, we're out here and we're doing the fight. We're really bringing it to the people, getting those signatures. And almost everybody is perfectly willing to sign. I only have one person say no, and you know why he said no?
Why is that?
Because he had to put his address down.
Oh, makes sense.
Well, if he's registered to vote, the government already has that address, but I couldn't convince him of that. And I don't try hard to convince people to do things they don't want to do. So I just, I had a conversation with him. He said he would probably vote for me after talking to me, but he would sign, and that's okay. But most people, they sign. If you get them to talk to you for 30 seconds, they'll sign. So it's not that difficult. Come on into New York. Give us a hand.
This LPNY.org petitioning portal, is that something that
Yes, that is something that they can use as well.
you can't click on it from here, guys, but I'll put it in the comments.
Yeah, put that in every comment, everywhere. But we need you. We need you badly.
Definitely.
I had somebody give me some cannabis this past week too, believe it or not. They have these.
Oh, was it any good?
They have these cannabis buses, vans. I don't know what you want to call them, but they park on the street, and it's like sticker sales. You buy a token from them, and then you give them the token back, and they give you some cannabis. Well, as you know, I had brought some of my own cannabis to New York City. So instead of doing that, they gave me a little, I gave them a little. We traded cannabis.
You were giving away some cannabis last week too, weren't you?
Yep, last Saturday we had that protest. We gave away a bunch of cannabis. Surprisingly, the police and the correctional officers off of Rikers Island area, they didn't accept the cannabis, but they were very polite in turning it down. That's another thing I notice about people here. They're very polite, very polite. Sometimes they're using the F word 7 times in a sentence when they're being perfectly kind and polite. It's interesting. People like to swear.
People I know.
They love to swear, but it's really not bad. It's not negative. I see so many people, when somebody drops something, somebody else picks it up for them. Very well-mannered people down here. And I was originally led to believe to expect the opposite, because, New York City, oh, that's a terrible place. That's what the upstaters think. I'm an upstater, and that's what I've heard all my life. And it's not true. It's not true. There's a lot of good people down here.
This year is your first year you went to the city, huh? New York City.
Yep.
Living in upstate for many years.
Yep. This is my second trip to the city. First trip was a couple of months ago.
Great. I hope you guys are donating. Thomas Queter. This guy's going to get it done. He runs better than the government. That's not just a joke.
No, it's not. I can qualify that too. I can manage one step and a dive, which is one step better than most government programs.
So who are we running against here? Who's this dude?
Chuck Schumer. He's an entrenched incumbent. He's been in office for over 20 years. He largely doesn't do what he says. He likes to chase cameras and microphones, and that's how he keeps winning. People think he's honest, and he's not. Just go look at his voting record. If you're watching this and you like Chuck Schumer, go compare his voting record to the messaging he puts out when he's on camera. But, check out the website, volunteer, donate, get involved.
Volunteer for sure. I mean, this is Libertarian Volunteerism. We are advocating for volunteers, especially for Thomas's campaign, but libertarians in general. And even if you're not a libertarian, if you can do the thing for somebody, make it easier for them, just do it. Do that for your neighbor. Try to be a community member.
An awful lot of people that support me are not libertarians. And that's a good thing, because we have so many independents that are unrepresented. We have so many Democrats and Republicans that don't feel represented by their own parties.
Jonathan, I love you. You got to come back on my show, my friend, anytime.
I love you, Jonathan. Next week, you got to be on.
Yeah, come on by. Get exciting around here. I also want to, before we get out of here too much, I want to plug our buddy Dan Berman again too.
I was talking to him earlier today.
How's he doing?
He was about to boil a ribeye steak, so I slapped him around and told him how to cook.
Good. We need more of that. Steak slapping.
You don't boil a ribeye. No, he's not very experienced in the kitchen, but he's kind of taken to it after, in November of 2019, he had my home cooking. That was the start. And then you know me, if I cook something good, I like to take a picture and post it and talk about it, because I like to show people how easy it is to make excellent food from whole ingredients. It's healthy and it will make you feel better. On that note, there's something else we've been doing down here. We have a fairly professional volunteer videography team, and so we've been doing some campaign snippets, and they're working on a documentary that's outside the campaign about my trek through politics, and they're coming tomorrow. So,
thank you, Kenneth.
Right on, Kenneth. I am running for US Senate. That means I vote for things for everybody. If I win, everybody can donate. Everybody can help me chuck Schumer out the window.
Do it.
But tomorrow, the video crew is coming back, as is my comms director. And so I picked up some grass-fed beef shank at the farmer's market, and I made some osso buco. Made it home style. I got some leeks. I got some oyster mushrooms. I got some baby potatoes, some spices. I picked up a thing of beef broth at the local market, and I got some grass-fed butter. Yeah. I cooked it all together. First, I seared the steak in the butter, the shank in the butter, and then I added a little bit of water with the leeks and the mushrooms and the potatoes. Then I added the beef broth. I simmered it all down, and now it's in the fridge, so we can heat it up real easy tomorrow, because it's going to be a long day tomorrow, and I'll be able to give them a good home-cooked meal right from my hotel room.
That's not easy.
Yeah, I don't know if I think I told you last time I got bumped up to a suite because the ADA regulations at the hotel followed perfectly for a standard room. Did not make that room accessible. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, I'd say.
Yep. And a lot of that is because there's no common sense had by those who make the rules. And part of the accessibility problems, although this is a new construction, so it doesn't apply to this building, but with older buildings, part of the reason they don't become accessible is because they're often required to do it all. They can't just do what they can afford or what's more feasible. They have to do it all if they're going to do anything. We need to relax that. We need to let people do what works. But, Robert, we're out here fighting the fight, and on that note, I've got to get myself fed and to bed and up early. So I'm gonna sign off for tonight. I'm gonna thank everybody watching and everybody who's donated. And Kenneth, if you're in the city this week, I'll be here till Saturday. I know you often come for work.
Yeah, definitely. You guys, thank you so much for coming. I just want to make sure that you guys know that Dan Berman does sell CBD products in Delta 8. Hit him up for nugupknowledge.com. We love him. And Thomas, every Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern time, we check in. So you guys come back. If you want to be on the show, hit me up. Love you guys.